the Sacramento Kings held their own in this ball game against the Memphis Grizzlies, but ultimately, in the end, they still fell and dropped to 5-16 on this season. Let's talk about this game right now on Kings related post game recap starting right now. Let's go. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of our Kings related podcast, wherever you may be, in this post game recap of another core effort from the Sacramento Kings, who fall to the Memphis Grizzlies on this Sunday evening. But first, before we get into tonight's recap, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and leave a comment down below. We are also available wherever you get your podcast on audio form. So please hit that follow button and rate stars. That will be much appreciated. The Sacramento Kings, they fall to 5-16 on this season with another tough loss on this Sunday night to the Memphis Grizzlies. And give Sacramento credit, they held their own in this game against Memphis, which is really saying something. If we're talking about this Kings team for this season, but in the end, the result has been pretty much the same for most of this year so far. The Kings fall 115 to 1-7, and Sacramento, they played relatively well, but as they've had good stretches where they use a good to great defense to lead to great offense, what we've seen for most of this season, ultimately this team couldn't stand up to the size of the Memphis Grizzlies. Zach Edey, who erupted for a career night, 32 points, 7 rebounds, 5 blocks on 16 of 20 shooting. That is 80% from the field. If you look at the bright spot for Sacramento, Keegan Murray continues to shine for Sacramento since returning from his thumb injury. With another great game on both ends of that basketball court, and he continues to have a huge impact on this game. Reminded everyone tonight of how his defense, alone, makes him a invaluable asset to this team. And as always, there was some good and some bad in this one for the Sacramento Kings. And again, the same thing. This Kings team is way too small because the size of the Grizzlies, especially Edey, crushed the Sacramento Kings in this game. And that's nothing much new. If you've been watching this team for the past several seasons, Sacramento is a very undersized team. And the Memphis Grizzlies, they made the Kings pay tonight. Edey, career night, and he was the problem for Sacramento all night long. Like Zach Edey, he shined in that pick and roll on the offensive glass with the putbacks and also on the defensive end. And Sacramento's offense, again, looks stagnant. Anytime they were in the half-court sets, and then you had the 5 blocks from Edey, and the Kings, give them credit, they tried a little bit of everything to try to slow Edey down. Drew Eubanks, through Precious Achiuwa, and even Maxime Reynaud, but no one could stop him tonight. So, and speaking of Max, This was the first official clutch minute in Maxime Reynau's young NBA career. Good for him. And these minutes that he's getting with Sabonis out, very valuable minutes for the young rookie for Sacramento. The thing that was clicking for the Kings, Keegan Murray and Precious Achiuwa. The Kings may be small in the front court, but Doug Christie has found a combo that has clicked, and that is Keegan Murray and Precious Achiuwa. It was the end of the third quarter showed it, especially when the Kings used a 23-7 run to regain the lead, and it was Precious and Murray, who may not be a big front court duo, but they used their length and athleticism well to be disruptive on the deep defensive end on the floor. Incredible. And that was just one of the stretches of the game tonight. The Kings used their defense to lead to great offense against the Memphis Grizzlies. And they only did it in short stints. But when they did, it was so fun to watch. And that golden one center crowd got into it, and the flow to the game looks so much better, and it keeps the Kings out of the half-court offense. So great job. The 3-point struggles continue with the Sacramento Kings. They have not been a great 3-point shooting team this season, and the percentage from deep isn't terrible. They are 17th in the league and just 35%. But that combined with the low volume, which is 29th at 31, that has sunk them to the bottom of the league rankings for threes. And that's going to go down even more after tonight's game against Memphis, as they made just 8 on 27 attempts for below 30% shooting from deep. And thankfully, Memphis Grizzlies only made 9 of their 24 attempts. But the fact of the matter remains is the Kings are one. I think if they're not one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league, like, they're up there. And in today's NBA, if you can't make threes, you are not going to win a lot of games in today's NBA. So some of my other thoughts about this game: you had the trouble with the starting unit. That Christie continues to run that same group out to open the game, and in the third quarter, that needs to change, because you cannot expect the second unit to undo the damages that your starters caused, especially multiple times in one game. And then tonight, the second unit was so much better than that starting unit for the Kings tonight. And there was a moment in that first quarter, you had a lineup of Malik Monk, Clifford, Ellis, Precious, and Max. They closed that first quarter out on a 14 run. And the Sacramento Kings actually led after the first quarter. So, and the leader of that second unit is Dennis Schroeder, who was out again tonight with hip soreness, and he has settled into that role as the front man of that second unit bench squad. With him out for his third straight game, Malik Monk took over that role, and he was excellent tonight. 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists for Malik Monk in this game. Fighting the good fight, Precious Achiuwa, Maxime Reynau, they came off that bench, speaking of the second unit, and they tried to slow down Zach Edey to not much affair. And Precious, 11 points and 7 rebounds off the Kings bench. Reynau, who did foul out late in this game, 9 points 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block in this game. These minutes are so valuable for Max and his development going forward. Keegan Murray, he again talked about it earlier. Again, on both ends of the floor, offense, defense, even though Keegan could not buy a 3-point shot tonight. And I thought the Grizzlies did a decent job of keeping him off the glass as well. But Keegan still found a way to impact this game, offense and defense. 12 points, 5 of 12 shooting, 2 rebounds, and I give credit to the Memphis for keeping Keegan off the glass. 5 steals and 3 blocks for Keegan Murray in this game. And with this Kings team currently right now, with this loss at 5-16, how do I say this nicely? It is time to start transitioning some of your younger players on this roster, and I'm talking Clifford, Reynaud, Ellis, Precious, and Keegan, as many minutes as possible. Like tonight, Keon Ellis only played 6 minutes in this ballgame. No, like even though Keegan, Keon's not the best player on this team. He's one of your best defenders on this team, and for him, only plays 6 minutes, and he can impact this game the minute he steps on this floor. He only gets 6 minutes. That's unacceptable. When you got DeRozan, who's got 34 minutes, and Zach LaVine, 35, unacceptable. There's no reason for those 2 guys to be playing heavy minutes on this basketball team. They should be playing 25 to 30 minutes. And it's now time to dish out more minutes to your younger players like Keegan, Keon, Clifford, Max, and even Precious, because this team's not going anywhere. You are looking to build for the future. You want to see continued growth from your young players throughout this season into the summer and then next season. So, because Zach, DeMar, they are not part of this team going forward, and they need to start focusing on the future and dishing out the minutes to your younger players. And I hope Doug Christie can start doing that on this upcoming 3-game road trip, which doesn't get off to a hot start because you are facing the Houston Rockets on Wednesday night. And then 2 days later, you're in South Beach to take on the Miami Heat. And that's a fun and exciting Miami Heat team that you're facing on the second game of this road trip. A new offensive style pace. So more minutes for your younger players going forward because it is time to dish out those minutes to the younger players. So again, in that first quarter, the Kings bench outscored Memphis. Much better production on your bench tonight than the other night in Utah. So, but overall, the Kings, another thud of a game, and they are once again spiraling as this season was over before we even reach Thanksgiving. And just as we close out this episode, I just want to say this. Zach LaVine is a better player as a slasher. DeMar DeRozan would be better for a team in the second unit. Keegan Murray is better in a non-stagnant offense. And Malik Monk is the Kings' most team impactful, all-dominant guard on this roster. So just my final words as I close out this episode where the Kings lose to the Memphis Grizzlies 115 to 107 on this Sunday evening, and they are now 5-16 on this season. And let me know in the comments down below would you like to see more minutes for the young players going forward? Let me know in the comments down below, and we will catch you for another episode following Wednesday night game against the Houston Rockets for another post-game recap. And I'm also going to be starting a new series here on our Kings related podcast as I dive in to the NBA draft prospects with a little spotlight. And the first prospect I will be diving into will be Duke's Cameron Boozer and what his fit could potentially look like on the Sacramento Kings. So thanks for tuning in to this episode, and we'll see you Wednesday night following Kings Rockets. And as always, take care and go Kings.